Yes, so hi. Once again, I am Sarah Evans. I am a Reiki Master, yoga teacher, and Akashic Records reader based here in Sheffield, UK, on the edge of the Peak District National Park. And this is class 3 of my energetic learnings, teachings, webinar sessions. So in previous weeks, we have done sessions on energy cleansing your energetic field, energetic body. And the last session we did was on protection, providing protection for your energy and energetic body. And so today's session, we're taking it one step further into energetic cord cutting. And I really want, with all of my teachings, I like to empower you and I want to give you the tools and skills that you need to apply these principles yourself. That's a really core part of everything that I do here. And from the standpoint of being a Usui Reiki Master, obviously I work with energy, healings all day long. And so I have some kind of pearls of wisdom and some perspective on this as well. And also, as an Akashic Records reader, I am going into Akashic Records of the sitters that come and book with me. And so I personally like to keep things clean and clear, and energetic cord cutting is a part of that. I already asked about if anyone knows what this is, and I got a couple of interesting responses. Releasing negative energy ties with people or things, one person said. Releasing old ideas of what my old limitations are, needing to let them go. Yes. So there's many ways of looking at this, but let's just kind of go back to the bare basics. So you're here having a human experience, right? But your energetic field, of which your auric field is a part, and your chakra system is a part that runs down through the center line of the body. So you have a physical body, you also have an energetic body. And this energetic body, you're going around all day, you don't really pay it too much attention, right? But it's always there, it's always supporting you, and it is always connecting with other energy fields. And everything has also got an energetic body. My plant over here has an energetic body. My phone here definitely has an energetic body and frequency, and we'll come to that whole shebang in a bit. But absolutely everybody you interact with, anybody you've ever interacted with, have their own energetic field. And when you are connecting with someone, when you are connecting with their energy and their energetic field, right? You're with me so far. I'm trying to kind of pare it right back and then we'll build upon it. So, with that in mind, so everything has an energy, and this includes as well thoughts have energy, memories have energy, right? Experiences have energy. Everything has an energetic body, an energetic part of it. All right. And so, building on that, then, whenever you interact with somebody, wherever you interact with a place, interact with a person, interact and have a memory, interact and have a thought or like a limiting belief thought, right? You are connecting with someone and you can create these cords of attachment. So we call them energetic cords. It's kind of a bit of a weird concept when you stop and think about it. Actually, the Taylor Swift song Invisible String is quite a good kind of explainer of this. That you can be attached through a very small string. Some people see it as a very fine golden string, other people see it as quite a thick vine. But essentially, Janssen's on the call right now. We're interacting. I waved at her. We have an energetic cord attaching us, right? And of course, with energetic cords, there's many, many energetic cords which are completely hunky-dory and completely fine, right? If you're a mother, you have many, many energetic cords to your children, right? And that is all well and good and to be expected. Yeah. But so there's many, many ways in which having an energetic attachment to things, to places, to thoughts, there's nothing wrong with that. But there are ways in which there are like things that are outside of your frequency, things that are not in alignment with you, and things that are denser and more kind of, say, negative or not of your frequency that you definitely don't want to be attached to. Okay, so there's kind of like a milder version of this, and then there's kind of a heavier version of energy vampires, energetic drains, things that are toxic and draining your energy. Okay, so we'll get into uncovering that. But I wanted to say, and actually, let's just take a moment because something that I love to do and I think is really helpful, and it's helpful as part of this process, but generally, is to call your energy back. So I've done this in the last two sessions, but let's just take a breath and call our energy back. Okay, so just with me, you can close your eyes if you want, you can keep your eyes open if you prefer, but I want you to just become focused on your breathing a second, have a really deep conscious breath. And then slowly release. And on the next inhale, I want you to say, I call my energy back. So to say out loud or in your mind, I call my energy back. And you breathe in and feel the energy flowing back to you. I call my energy back. Calling energy back from past concerns, future moments. I call my energy back. Okay? And you can gently open your eyes and notice if you feel any different. But obviously, through our day, and in fact, even if you've just woken up and you've been having dreams, right? You're in your dreams, in your astral state, your energy is going out there too, right? So whether you've just woken up or you've spent the entire day working and you're coming to listen to this after working and engaging with hundreds of people or whatever it is, you're calling your energy back to you and you're making yourself whole and bringing it back. Okay. And that's the first piece of this. And whilst you are engaging and just taking a breath and just connecting in with yourself, you can do a couple of other things too, right? Number one is if you have ruminating thoughts, if your mind keeps going back to a particular thing, maybe it's current affairs, maybe it's a stressful colleague at work, whatever your mind is traveling off to, that's useful information because that's exactly what we're addressing today in terms of energetic cord cutting. Okay, so let's take a moment to just notice, or just kind of take a breath, take a moment, a mindfulness moment, and just think, are there any things that you keep thinking of, that keeps coming up in your mind? Okay. You can close your eyes to do this, or you can, like, you probably already know, right? I mean, you're on Insight Timer, you're already quite connected, turned on to, what's happening in your mental body, in your mental headspace. But if anyone wants to write in the chat about things, particular topics, obviously not wanting to get into it too much, but news, current affairs, there's definitely a lot happening that it would make sense for your mind to travel off to, right? And this is a good way to connect to what's draining you, what cords are you connected with that it will be good to just cut and have a fresh start with. So Genevieve says, past mistakes. Yes, yes, exactly. Past mistakes, difficult people, difficult circumstances, or it could be worrying about the future and future events or whatever it is. Jazz says, unhelpful past situations. Yes. So these are great examples, and it goes to show that it's not necessarily, doesn't have to essentially be like a one individual person. It can be an experience or a set of experiences or a set of conversations even. Erin says things come up that were never resolved. Francis says, my boss. Yes. I used to have a very stressful job and I used to ruminate on the stressful people. So completely understand and get it. So let's talk about that. So yes, so energy can be sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here. I just want to make sure I'm covering everything that I wanted to cover. Yeah, not aligned. Not aligned. Okay, so let's talk about energetic drains and energy vampires, right? So you've brought up some brilliant examples and great, perfect. You are connecting with what is, what you're in touch with. So it's not. So when we cut a cord on a person, when we cut a cord on the energy of the stress of the individual, it's not like deleting them, right? Or it's not doing any harm to them. It's about detaching from the draining, from the toxic, from the dysfunctional energy associated with them, right? And it's basically about, again, calling your energy back and being sovereign and just standing in and just like, I remove my energy from this situation, right? And return and cut the cords with love or whatever. We will get on to exactly the cord cutting techniques that I recommend. But let's just talk very briefly about energy drains and energy vampires. So, energy drains are situations, environments, places that leave you tired, stressed, drained. Like, I'm sure you can think of an example. It could be, something like a very cluttered house, or it could be, a stressful job situation. It could be a stressful job situation from 15 years ago, but you've not been there for 15 years, but it's still draining you, right? And yeah, and I'm sure you can think of examples of when you've walked into an environment, into a situation, and immediately you're just like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm so stressed or uninspired. Like you just like feeling the energy in the room is just not for you. It's just not yours. Not a good thing. I'm sure everyone can think of an experience where that's happened to them. And then on a more extreme example, well, it doesn't have to be extreme, and I think it's like the terminology makes it sound like really scary. But so energy vampires. So energy vampires, not a literal vampire, obviously, but they're people or situations, whether consciously or unconsciously, are draining you. So it's like the boss where an email pops up on your inbox and you've not even clicked on it, but you just have this sense of dread as soon as you see the name, right? I'm sure everyone's had an example like that, experience like that. Or you're speaking to someone, maybe it's a client or whatever the situation is, and you've spoken to them for 5 minutes, but you're feeling absolutely exhausted after it. It gives you a massive headache. You're like, oh God, like I need to take a nap. This was terrible. And energy vampires are not just people. Okay. Here's a classic example of an energy vampire. That's not a person. I am holding up my phone. So, energy vampires can be news, can be social media, anything that is distracting you from you, anything that is making you have an intense reaction, that is making you stressed, anxious, afraid. Okay. A big part of what I do when I mentor people is I try to get them to reduce their constant reliance and need to keep up on current affairs or keep up on what's on the social media feed, all right? Because let's be real, people, like how many of you would say that like looking on your phone for 2 hours scrolling, how many would you say how it gives you energy, or how many would you say drains you and makes you tired, makes you stressed, makes you feel icky, right? Let's have a truthful moment. I bet it does. I bet it does. And this is not a criticism, right? Like we are, we brought up in this culture, which is like go, 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 and which is like you've got to be up on everything and you've got to like, you can't be out of touch with what's happening in the world. And like there's so much that there's pressure to act a certain way, be a certain way, right? But in fact, it could actually be draining you. And there could be like it might not just be all current affairs, but like one particular thing or particular topic, which is, as an empathetic or compassionate person, it could be making you feel awful and so sad or whatever. But actually, I want to take a moment to talk about, is it yours? Okay. So before we get on to the actual cord cutting, which by the way is very straightforward and nothing like incredibly technical, I can assure you. But let's just take another moment. So we've thought about things that might be draining you or might be energy vampires around. But I want to also talk about what energy is not yours. It's not yours to hold. Okay. So again, we can just take a quick mindfulness moment, just connecting with your breath. And just take a moment to think of a situation or something that stressed you, something that you've seen on the news or whatever it might be. And you can put one hand on your belly and one hand over your heart center. So we're kind of tuning in. We're tuning in to your gut feeling and also to be heart-led. We're tuning into your sacral chakra and your heart chakra. Okay. And just taking a moment to just bring to mind, just for a moment, whatever this thing is that's upset you. And I want you to ask yourself and ask your body, is it mine? Really that easy. Is it mine? Is it mine to hold? Is it mine to give my energy to? Because I bet 9 times out of 10, it's not yours. This is not your suffering. This is not your responsibility to solve. Saying this as a deeply compassionate and empathetic person myself, this is something that I've had to learn to have better energetic boundaries. So otherwise you can just drain yourself and you're just like a puddle on the floor, completely drained and fatigued. Okay. Is it yours? And feel free to share in the chat if this has brought something up for you. And one other question that you can ask yourself, is it my frequency? Is it in alignment? Is this thing in alignment? Because again, I would say 99% of the time, something like this that's bothering you, it's bothering you because it's out of alignment with you, with your frequency, with your belief systems, with what you hold as truth within yourself. So again, just think, is this in alignment with me or is it out of alignment with me? It's something that Spirit gave to me, rather than kind of like, judging or criticizing or being like trying to like, place judgment on things going on in the world. Just think, is it in alignment with me or is it out of alignment with me? Okay. Because anything out of alignment with me, okay, great. Snip, snip, snip. It's time to cut those cords on it. Okay. And it's so important because, okay, our energetic body, there is like a infinite, there's everyone's got energy and it can replenish the energy. The universal energy of all that is infinite, but the energy of your energetic body is finite and can be drained. Okay. And of course, without getting really dark and like scary, like there are energy vampires where you do need to cut that off because it can just drain you forever. Yeah. And I'm sure I could talk more on this topic, but I'm aware of time and I want to move on to the actual techniques of how to help you with this. And I have a few things in mind. I'm aware in the greater spiritual offerings realm, there are much more comprehensive techniques that involve burning stuff, candles, images. You can go into this as deeply as you wish. And, if it's in your belief system that you do need to do things really dramatically, then by all means, have at that. But in my belief system and in my practice, I cut cords and cleanse my energy field very frequently. And I can tell you that, I help clients with really dense, traumatic things. And I can clear and clear that energy from me in an instant. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to get two candles and connect it and light it and burn it down to the ground over hours and yada yada yada. I'm just like, obviously, if that's part of what you like to do, then great, but it doesn't have to be so complicated. Okay, so I'm going to take you through four different techniques that I use to cut cords. And, it can be useful to have an intention in mind with this. And, you can just make it as simple as I cut cords on anything that is draining me, anything not of my vibration, that is not mine. I cut cords and send it back with love or something like that. Yeah. And I do encourage you with intention setting to work with whatever wording makes most sense for you. Because like with anything, with energetic spiritual work, the more it resonates with your own belief systems and value systems, the stronger it's going to work for you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take you through four different systems. And the first one is literally just sweeping yourself with your hands. Okay. And I actually do this before Akashic Records readings too, just to make sure there's nothing going on that could interfere with my clear channel. Okay. But so we'll just do it from the top. And it's literally just putting palms on and just sweeping down your head, down your face. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Sweep, sweep, sweep. So down the front and then down your back. Sweep, sweep, sweep. I'm cutting cords and releasing energy. That's not mine. And if you're a visual person and that is nice for you, I like to imagine that it's kind of like you're kind of sweeping off like leaves, like dry leaves, and they're falling to the floor, and then you kind of transmute it back to Mother Earth, like a pile of autumn leaves that you're just giving back to Mother Earth. There we go, done. Okay. So that's the sweeping technique. And you can give like a little toss of the hands as well. I release it with love. Okay. So that's kind of like the lightest thing that I do. I'm kind of building up in intensity. Yeah, I'll come back to the previous sessions at the end. Don't worry, I have them recorded as well. Okay, so the next one, which is the one that resonates most with me, is it like this is kind of it's kind of a bit embarrassing and it seems a bit basic. But I like to do with my fingers, I like to kind of imagine that I'm making scissors, right? And I imagine I see these little threads as this really, really fine golden threads. And I'll literally just snip, 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 snip. I call this the snip technique. You just snip, 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 and the threads cut. Snip, snip, snip. Okay. And I like to do that. I also, another Reiki master friend of mine was just like, yeah, the snipping doesn't do it for me because she sees the energetic cords as like really thick, like huge thick vines, like it's out of like Jumanji or something. It's like really, really thick vines that are just attached to you and they're just like, Urgh. So if that's kind of how you perceive it, which is fine, then instead you can rip it. Okay. I'm glad you like the sniffing technique. It's really easy, just like sniff this. It's all about intention setting. So I'm just releasing anything that's not mine. You can imagine you're snipping above your head, below your feet, the whole, all around, snip, 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 and then it's done, right? But if you feel like that is too basic, then you can also yank the cords out. So my Reiki master friend said that what she does is pulls the like so she kind of imagines that these are the massive, great big like vines. I personally, this is not how I perceive it to be, but many people do, and whatever is in your belief system is what is true for you. Okay. So what you can do is you can imagine that you're grabbing onto the vine off your shoulder and you're ripping it out like this. You kind of toss it with some force. And on the other side, getting it and then ripping it out. And you can do this down your body. Kind of like cross. It's good to do across the body. Kind of more dramatic. But you're just cutting those cords, you're severing those links, you're removing anything that drains you. Out. Okay. How are you guys doing with these different techniques? Is there one that resonates most for you? Feel free to let me know in the chat. We will be revisiting very briefly the previous learnings as well and talking about where you can find the full recordings. All right. And then, so the technique sweep, snip, pull. And then the last one that I was going to go up with for you is my old pal, the selenite wand. I love working with crystals. They are very powerful and useful. And if anyone has never come across this before, I'll write it down. Selenite wand. I'll put that in the chat in case you've not heard of this before. You might feel, if you're energy sensitive and I bring this up past my camera, you might feel that. You feel it? Selenite is actually getting off topic slightly, but selenite was the crystal that made me realize that crystals actually have their own frequency and power. Because I held one. It's actually it's not here right now. I have a selenite heart and I picked it up and it suddenly just felt tingles and I felt in my crown tingles. And I was just like, whoa, and I put it down and the tingles went away and I picked it up and it started again. And I was just like, what's going on here? So if this is brand new information to you, I really highly recommend you go out and get one of these guys. The bonus with one of these is they actually tend to be quite cheap. I think I got this for like £3, which is like equivalent $5. So you don't have to spend a small fortune on them. Okay. So if you have selenite and selenite wand, which you can, by the way, charge by putting on your windowsill for a full moon or in the sunlight to charge up and be nice and useful for you. And some people might find that using an external object kind of like adds to the gravitas or power of it, right? But essentially, if you have something like this, then all you do is you can just, what I like to do is I like to kind of go around the top of my head first and I sever, just say yes, severing any cord attachments, anything not in alignment, kind of like sweep around a few times. And then you can just basically sweep down the front of your body and then sweep down the side and sweep down the side. And by the way, if you want to be more violent about it, you're going to be like, chop it, like, fine. But I personally find you don't need to be super dramatic. We just sweep, 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 cleanse. Also, highly recommend you sweep your electronics, remove anything that's not for your highest good, not in resonance. And you can sweep your computer, like cutting any cords, anything not of this frequency, not for my highest good. And then, yeah, that's basically it. And, if you feel like you have a lot going on, if you feel like, yes, it's common to get goosebumps with the selenite sweeping, yes. I actually find when I'm sweeping my head, it makes my head click. I can literally feel like the bones in my head clicking and doing stuff. And sometimes when I sweep my heart center, like obviously things get attached, and particularly being an empathetic person, a lot of things get attached to your heart chakra in particular. And when I sweep this, I often feel like a big pulling. Oh, how do I clean my selenite? Being a Reiki person, I tend to use Reiki symbols, but you don't really, I mean, you can put it next to black tourmaline, that's a helpful thing, but you can just kind of sweep it yourself. And yeah, I like to apply Reiki symbol to clean, cleanse, and clear the selenite. The selenite, though, being very high frequency it's like it's crown chakra frequency. Because it's so high frequency, it doesn't really get really dirty or have like entities attachments. It's not really possible because of the frequency in which it holds. Yeah, I personally find. But what I do to charge is I put my crystals often on my selenite wand because it helps with the charge of the crystals. Just in the windowsill for a full moon or a bright sunny day, and it will cleanse and charge. All right, so how's everyone doing? Do you have any questions? Is this making sense to you? Have I explained well enough? Feel free to let me know if there's anything. Let's see. So Jodian says, I'm empathetic and my loved one has a dementia, has many movements and outbursts. I'm trying to learn these tools to not take on their energy. Yes, yes. So for that, the is it mine thing, is it mine to hold? Like obviously your loved one, you want to help them, but it's their suffering. You don't need to take it on as yours. And I think it's so important as highly sensitive people, as empathetic people, particularly in the year 2026, where like a lot is happening. It's really, really important to cleanse your energy, protect your energy, and cut cords on anything that's not yours. What I'll say as well, as we'll finish up the cord cutting topic, and I just want to just mention why it's important to do this. Like, why bother, right? What's it going to do for me? Okay. And I think there's four different ways it can be useful. One is for greater emotional clarity. You can stop carrying other people's emotions, other people's moods, other people's anxieties. I often use the example of water of a duck's back. There can be someone who's very stressy and it's just water of a duck's back. Cutting the cords, you have a good, strong, energetic boundaries, and you're not taking on that which is not yours. Okay. It also can create increased vitality because if you stop leaking your energy to other sources, where your attention goes, energy flows. Okay, so whatever you put your intention, your focus into, you're flowing energy there. So stop the leakage of sending energy to places and things that's not supporting you, that's not for your highest good, that's not yours. And as a result, you'll have increased vitality, you'll have better physical health, you'll have better mental health for an absolute fact, you'll have better mental health. Also, it creates better boundaries as well. You're creating energetic boundaries. You're saying, I am I'm having a healthy boundary. I am supporting myself. I'm taking care of number one. It's important to take care of yourself and have self-care. It really, truly is. And you're cutting off the things, the distractions, the things that are not helping you, that are not for your highest good. And then additionally, and this kind of gets into the kind of more denser, heavier stuff, but it can provide closure as well. You can cut cords on limiting beliefs. You can cut cords on traumatic memories. You can cut cords, actually literally on people that are incredibly toxic and dysfunctional, right? I mean, this is beyond the scope of the session today, but it can give you closure to move forward, have a new chapter of your life. And I think that's so important. And guys, I'm giving you the tools and I'm trying to empower you as best that I can. But at the same time, I'm aware that a lot of people have a lot of, bad things have happened, have a lot of, trauma, have a lot of very dysfunctional people in your life or whatever it might be. So if you need additional support, if you would like me to help you further, I am available for one-to-one online sessions. I do private sessions of remote Reiki healings, and I can use some very advanced techniques to really do some very dramatic things that will massively help you. I can also go into your Akashic records and we can speak to your spirit team, we can speak to your higher self, we can really do the work to have the most transformation and the most power. Okay, so I just wanted to put it out there that that's the meat and potatoes of my job as a spiritual healer. So if anyone would like to, book with me, in fact, Jansen already put my website. My website's also on my profile as well, if anyone's interested. But thank you so much for your presence and participation today. I really loved doing this session with you today, and thank you so much for the hearts and gratitude. I love it. So, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.